Origin Chance, and this is how China is quietly bracing for conflict with India. Wall Street Journal coordinates. But it's not Wall Street Journal. China has ramped up military and dual-use infrastructures along its border with India over the past decade. Experts say Beijing's extensive network of roads, railways, and airports in Tibet along the Himalayan mountains are a part of risky effort to dominate the region. Yeah, all right. Okay, first of all, if any Indian is watching this video, this is not an accent. This is how I speak. I don't know where you're from. I don't know how you think I should shout. I don't sound like an Apu from Simpsons. All right. कैसे हो दोस्तों? कैसा चल रहा है? This is how I speak. You see the same tone even in Hindi. Okay. So as far I don't know, like this Wall Street Journal sometimes like okay, I don't know how if this channel is if this journalism is biased or not. But sometimes I feel like, they always have these eyes everywhere and they just make up shit sometimes. Like, okay, they are ramping up, but so is India. India nearly triple the soldiers that are at the Chinese border, right? So I don't know what they are even talking about it. Like, okay, this is like, is there a struggle there? But yes, there is. Are tensions slightly rising? Yes, there is. But like, China and India is also doing increasingly high business now. I'm pretty sure India also opened like Chinese visitors and like tourists and things like that, which hasn't happened in like 5 or so years. So I don't know what you're talking about, right? This doesn't mean nothing. But like, oh, look at that, India, China's going to fight. India, Pakistan's going to fight. Like, okay, Trump is doing a lot of shit that should cause 5 different wars. But that it's not worthy of a video. But let's talk about India and China. Sometimes I get that feeling. I know, like, I don't get emotional that way. Like, I try to be at center as much as I can. Maybe not, but maybe there is some bias. I don't know. But let's watch this video. I hope it's going to be interesting. So, yeah.
China is spending more than $40 billion on this railway through the Himalayas. Once complete, it will connect Chengdu, a major city in southwestern China, to Lhasa, the capital of the Tibet Autonomous Region, lowering the travel time from 34 hours to 13 hours. This is just one part of a massive construction spree along China's roughly 2,000-mile land border with India. Both countries have disputed the exact border for decades. But the dynamic has shifted drastically over the last several years, as China has invested in extensive roads, heliports and airports, and it's building or expanding hundreds of border villages. China has generally argued the build-up is focused on economic development, but the potential military applications of this infrastructure has some Indian officials concerned, and experts say China's extreme efforts to dominate the region are creating an increasingly flammable situation between two major world powers. The Chinese...
Look, man, China doesn't have oceans like USA has to dominate a navy, right? Even though they have a dominant navy. China has only one country where they can flex, is basically India. They're not going to try to flex with Russia, like good relation there, like no read to. Pakistan and every other countries is like they already have them in their hand. So India is one place where they could flex. Now, economy, the way it works, like how USA has military industrial complex, that is their economy in a lot of ways. China could be going towards that area, like investing more and more into military, so economy keeps churning up. So they have to do something. They're making infrastructure, sending troops at the borders, like because there is a tension between India and China. But at the same time, economy, like they're also doing business more. Like there's a lot of Chinese factory where I live, right? Way too many, right? Like a lot of Chinese things are being sold in India. A lot of relations amping up, especially with Trump tariff and everything, and China being part of the BRICS. That shit is rising up as well. So China is rising up everything, not just military, but also like business. So like, this is like making something like seeing a small fire and like, oh my God, it's going to be like mountain of fire now. Not really.
Military's Western Theatre Command is massive, about 2.6 million square miles, more than 80% of the area of the contiguous United States. Much of this region has long been remote, inaccessible and poor.
This is very punishing terrain we're talking about.
Since the 90s, China has built thousands of miles of roads through Tibet, especially in recent years. Many of these go parallel to or extremely close to the border, which has made these areas much more accessible. Because many of these roads could also be used for military purposes, what experts call dual use, it's also controversial. In 2020, for instance, India's construction of a...
Man, I'd like... Seriously, is there any Chinese watching this video? Can you go to these roads? Because as a car guy, I'm like, look at those empty roads, man. Like, you don't have anything there. You don't do much there, but your country has made roads there. Just take an awesome car and like, damn, those roads must be awesome, right? Like, take a Harley Davidson or some shit like that, like whatever equivalent, like some Ninja, Kawasaki Ninja or something, like just ripping through those roads. Like, are you allowed to do that, or is it like military part or something? Because that'd be fucking awesome.
Road near the border was cited as a contributing factor to a deadly clash between Chinese and Indian troops in Ladakh. India has continued building some roads by the border, including some impressive projects like a tunnel across the Sila Pass, and a more than 1,000-mile Arunachal frontier highway is currently in progress. But India's border roads are more limited overall, and most of its projects are smaller. In addition to roads, China has also invested heavily in trains along the corridor.
The primary
Oh, India's projects are smaller when China's are bigger. One is a $4 trillion economy, other is 20 plus. I wonder why that is. China is much more bigger geographically, 5 times bigger economy. Like, of course it is.
purpose of these high-speed railway lines is connectivity. But the fact of the matter is, once you have a high-speed rail, it takes only an order to make sure that instead of tourists, you have soldiers being transported on those railway lines, and that's where the challenge comes.
The concern is that this
Yeah, but also a simple ballistic missile can take out that railway. Like, this is modern times, man. Like, I don't know. They are building infrastructure, sure. Does it have military thing behind it? Also, sure. Like, let's not take that lightly. But this could be like, oh, that region is mostly empty, so we're just increasing it. Like, it could be political. It could be like just flexing. Flexing also a thing. Doesn't mean they want to use it. Like, but yeah, of course, like, Indian military will take everything seriously. Indian government will take everything seriously, obviously. But let's not make this into a big deal, because it's probably not.
Infrastructure network could enable a small dispute in a remote territory to quickly spiral into a large conflict.
China's ability to mobilize its forces on the Indian border has changed dramatically over time. In the late 90s, early 2000s, people were talking about a month that Chinese forces would need to mobilize and then actually go for war with India. Now we hear about a time period of 5 to 7 days.
In 2006,
Again, India had 80,000 troops at the border, and I'm pretty sure it's over 300,000 or something. India can do that shit as well. Can China do better? Yeah, because China's military, economy-wise, every wise is just better than India. Like, no one in their right mind would think if India and China go to war, if there is any scenario where India comes out on top. Like, no, that's not how it works. But in the end of the day, like, can India defend its border? Yeah, like, everybody knows that. Just geographical advantage alone, like, India has upper hand. This is not Mortal Kombat. It's India versus China, who would win. Like, there is many layers to it.
China completed the first major train line in Tibet, the Qinghai-Tibet Railroad. The government spent more than $4 billion to connect the western Chinese city of Xining to Lhasa. Now it's working on something even more ambitious, the Sichuan-Tibet Railway, which would speed up the journey through the Himalayas, directly connecting the headquarters of the PLA's Western Theatre Command to the capital of the Tibet Autonomous Region. For China, this is important to make Tibet more accessible. For India, though, it means easier Chinese access to the disputed border. India has plans to increase trains on its side of.
Again, they are building like dams there for hydro dam, like electrical, like power is the ultimate need. This is why oil was so coveted for like long time. That's why Iraq war happened with USA. Oil. But now like hydro dams and green energy is also oil basically. So this is oil equivalent. This is like hydro dams. They're making hydro dams there. So they just want to protect that. What if somebody just say, fuck it, and just months just take over that area and takes the hydro dams that they spend insane time building? So they need to protect that. It could be that. It could be just like security reasons. Who knows? And again, that hydro dam affects Bangladesh more than the India, right? And like, yes, so don't try to build that, oh, they're going to take over your rivers. Like, not really.
But its overall system is much more limited.
As far as the railway lines are concerned, Indian infrastructure is non-existent.
Another area of Indian concern is China's increasing air power along the corridor.
India has a much larger numerical air force advantage against China. Firstly, it has a lot more air bases, and they are also located a lot closer to the front line than the Chinese ones are. But another element of this is that China has the most missile-centric concept of warfare anywhere in the world.
China is estimated to have more than 600 nuclear warheads, many of which could reach India. India is estimated to have only 180 nuclear warheads. While both countries have
Over 200, which can easily reach any part of China. 200 is enough to flatten entire China. Let's not talk about nuclear weapons. That doesn't mean much. Nobody's going to use nuclear bombs because everybody's fucked otherwise. We've been through this with Russia, Ukraine, India, Pakistan. It's not going to happen.
sophisticated aircraft in their arsenal, this is another area where China has made significant strides.
It is an interesting time to actually look at air power and the air picture along China-India border, particularly given India-Pakistan conflict, in which the Pakistan.
Now, really, China is substantially better technology when it comes to Air Force, so it's not really comparison. But again, geography is a different thing. Indian border, when it comes to China side is mostly abandoned, it's like mountainous and things, which they're trying to put military bases there. India is much more condensed. There is no part of India you would look where there are not a major population and major cities there. Look at the night photo. There is only one country in the entire planet which is completely lit up, which is India. No other country is lit up at that level. So geography is very hard, right? So India can defend well. But when it comes to attack, no, India doesn't want to attack anyway. There has never been a time where India attacks a country. So it's just about defense, right? India can defend fine.
Side used China-manufactured aircraft in actual combat. It's definitely quite a sobering moment, I think, for the Indian military.
No,
Another significant part of China's...
Again, no, it's not. Context matters. India was doing operation in Pakistan. It wasn't a point-blank war, right? Indian pilots were basically told not to attack military areas. So they couldn't take out with anti-radiation missiles. They couldn't take out SAMs and things that would target a 4.5 gen plane like Rafale. So Rafale was shot down. Of course it was. Rafale had so specific instruction, target these areas and do nothing else and come back. Of course, it's like hand tied. There's never been a point-blank war where Rafale was tested like that, right? We don't know what would happen. And yeah, China's 5th gen, and Rafale is not. India doesn't have 5th gen yet. They might change in the future with Russia and India partnership with Su-75 and something. The way things are going with Trump and tariff, any American thing is completely out of the picture. So probably something like Su-75 or something, right? India might have in the future.
This border development effort has been moving citizens closer to the Indian state of Arunachal Pradesh. China claims this is actually part of its own territory. Between 2018 and 2023, China's registered population in border areas increased by 10.5%, according to government work reports. India has started a similar initiative, what it's calling the Vibrant Villages program, but it's not as advanced. Some China watchers worry border villages could be used by China as military staging posts in a potential conflict. Or at the very least, they're a way for China to strengthen its claim to the land where they sit.
To some degree, the Chinese government's calculation is really about creating political bargaining chips and facts on the ground, potentially for political negotiations.
China uses
It's political thing, man. It's weapons. Putting pressure on. It's not about conflict. In conflicts in modern time, in India, Pakistan, there was no troops there. It didn't went to war, but even if it did, India was bombing the shit out of Pakistan. And none of the defenses it worked with, they acquired for China. Probably didn't maintain it or something. That wouldn't apply with China itself because China's much better anti-defensive weapons probably. They wouldn't give their best to Pakistan. But yeah, you making towns. This is not going to be like World War II or something slowly troops moving in and taking territory. That shit would not happen. India and China much powerful weapons. India and also nuclear weapons, so that should never work. It would be like Japan 2.0. Before this goes out of hand, let's show I have nuclear weapon as well, right? So nobody would use nuclear weapon, but until completely end, but it feels like one side is completely dominating, other side would use nuke because why would they not?
So-called active defence on many of its borders. And it's also known for pressing neighbours into difficult positions by using what experts refer to as salami slicing tactics, where it gets away with major power grabs by cutting them into many incremental moves that are too small to meet much resistance. While China and India have made some steps recently to improve their relationship over the border, experts say the situation remains tense.
China's always been aggressive. That's why I think this is nothing. This is how China is. But then again, like I said, China and India economy is business deals are growing. Chinese companies themselves are building factories in India more now, right? With the tariff and things, China's India is like basically coming together, let's do business. This is just how China is. That doesn't mean there is like, why would China want to do war with India? What is that gonna gain? Let's think about this. Fourth biggest economy, top 5 military, both. China is like top 2. India is in top 5 in everything, economy, military. Why would any of those top 5 want to fight each other? That's just stupid. China, like, you would think like China, Taiwan, US thing, that might happen because China feels that getting Taiwan is in their core belief, but that's different. India doesn't have any Taiwan equivalent. So China would not be motivated to attack anything in India, because why would you do that? In the end of the day, that's just stupid. And especially with India-Pakistan thing, India is ramping up military budget insanely, increasing partnership with Russia to get better technology and things. So yeah, I don't think it's happening, right? I mean, India probably had like plans with US as well, but that's probably going to tank now after the relations will be souring with Trump with the tariff thing. Who knows? But yeah, like fighting India, China is just weird. That's not going to happen.
For instance, China recently issued new Chinese names for dozens of places in the Indian-controlled territory of Arunachal Pradesh, which it also claims.
As of today, the relationship is really at an inflection point because both countries really need each other, and India has the capacity to absorb a lot of China's overcapacity in many ways. And India obviously is in need of China's investment. But that all being said,
again, I've worked on factories that are Chinese in India. That shit is happening a lot. India has highest growth of young people, biggest potential economical power that no country has. China, India, because of BRICS, can work together and really amp up, especially with like souring, like a lot of relations with West countries like USA and things. US is the biggest one, $40 trillion economy. So yeah, there was a recent thing like, okay, BRICS have decided to like try to slowly move away from dollar, which basically just means let's do business with each other and like try to do less with the dollar related things. I don't know how that makes sense. Like dollar is connected to everything, but at least they're thinking in that direction. If they're thinking in that direction, they're not thinking about fighting each other.
what they're doing is essentially building up infrastructure, dual-use facilities, and trying to better position themselves or in the event of a conflict. Despite both sides may not want wars, but miscalculation and misperceptions may eventually be a big problem.
Yeah, there you go. I think China thinks it's at the USA level, where I'm such a power at the global stage, I need to flex. Which you kind of have to give it to them. $20 trillion economy. China is China. Look at, in past 10 years, China has changed so much that it took something like USA decades to change. That's how much China has changed in 10 years. I don't even know how that works. Like, doesn't that create issues? How could you build so fast in 10 years? China's done that. So like, you have to give them that. Like, okay, you need to flex, so flex, I guess. I don't think they want to fight, right? Like, they're just doing that shit. They're not going to try to take over Arunachal Pradesh. They know India is not going to give it to them. It's going to cause a massive war, so why even try it? It's not like Taiwan, is it? Like, Taiwan is a different thing. So this is like, I like how Wall Street Journal, see, this is what it is, like good journalistic things, columns like this usually ends with common sense thing. Like, yeah, they're doing good business with each other, so that's probably not going to happen. But the whole video and title is like, oh, they're going to fight. This is how shit sometimes works. So I guess I'm going to give them pass in this one. Like, okay, doesn't feel weirdly made video. Like, in the end, at least they said it. Like, okay, if you reach the end of the video, yeah, they're having good economies with each other. They don't want to fight. Okay, that makes sense. All right, well, I'll see you next time.